Tyranids, bugs, big dino boys. Let's paint one up. Last Valentine's Day, I got a gift from my wife. It was a tyrannofex kit. And I still haven't painted it. Still in my pile of shame. So, let's fix that today. I got 2 done already. One in my old black gothic Leviathan scheme, and one in my more classic Leviathan scheme. Now, I want this one to be a little different, but same. I don't like color schemes in particular, but I also love the Tyranids, and they have a tendency for wanting to all be the same. So, let's get started. Starting with a simple zenithal with wraithbone, then going straight into the skin, starting from a dark color and working my way up. I took my time here. I wanted the transition to be very milky smooth and beautiful. Iraqi sand, and then doing a dry brush all around. A very heavy, wet dry brush, that is. At this point, I didn't care if it looked choppy. I just wanted to get that color on there, because it would be blended out later. I focused most of this dry brushing step on the details that would stand out most, before moving on to light flesh and then picking out all the highest details, and anything that could be interesting. I also took this color and focused on the spines and the horns, in order to lighten them up for later. Now my other tyrannofexes, this gun sack was a bright different color, but I decided to go more subtle here, using Berserker Flesh Tone to do most of my work, and picking out any of those wounds that Tyranids tend to have. I also started to do a little recess shading in the mouth, and worked my way around the model to any place that would look interesting. Since Tyranids are purely biological, I envisioned lots of different skin tones. The next step was to take those dry brush colors and pick out any of those bony details just to make them pop a little bit more. At this point, I felt a little bit more confident. I could see the skin tone starting to work itself around the model. But now we're onto the carapace. Starting off with the base of Nagroth Knight. This step is torturous for me, and probably why I haven't painted a bug in a while. Inch by inch, layer by layer, had to go through it. It's part of the deal. But it was also here that I wanted to do something a little different than I have been with my other bugs. I decided that I wanted something a little bit more fluid in its execution. I tend to paint striations on my other bugs, but I wanted that deep purple to be the center point, not the highlight itself. It's a simple experiment, but I think it worked out well in the end. But if anyone has any tips for this extremely tedious step, please let me know down in the comments. But finally, we are on to the reds. Picking out the vents, tongue, and any horns that I could see being this color. I also wanted this girlie's big boomstick to be the same shade of red, hinting that's not all just fleshy. I also picked out the spines, before going in with a Nolan oil wash and drenching it into all those recesses. Quick intermission here. If you are enjoying this video or if you love my shorts, please support me on Patreon. It'll mean a lot to me, and I can get better equipment and better camera and more models so I can share with you guys. Anyway, back to the video. Now, I said previously that I didn't want to do too many striations, but a little bit will go a long way. I just wanted to blend it out in the end. I then take some more red and pinks and pick out those colors. White for the teeth and Nolan oil for that recessed shade of the carapace. Dotted yellow eyes. And little texture right here. I'm not sure what they are, but I thought they needed it. Now, on to the base.
You're basic.
Now, I have a love-hate relationship with bases. It seems like I never want to start them. But once I do, I can't stop it. I keep wanting to add more detail. And I have to keep telling myself that that's not the whole point of the base. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to overshadow your model. But anyway, enough rambling. Let's see what we're doing. Spreading some PVA glue around the base after I marked out the spot where it's going to stand. Now I have this jar of dirt. Mixture of cat litter, sand, and random pieces of rocks that I found around. It makes for a good little mixture that looks natural on the base. Now we prime. Chaos Black, Wraithbone. We're going to paint up this little ripper. But my ADHD takes control and start off with doing the base itself. I used a variety of mud, dark browns, red browns, just to get a little variation down on here. Once dry, I dry brush it, stealing my wife's makeup sponge and going to town. I then remembered about the Ripper and painted them up using the purples for his carapace and reds for his claws and tongue. For our final step, we add some foliage. Mixture of different clumps and spreading it around the base to make it look natural. And once that's done, finally put some glue on and put her on her base. And here she is in all of her glory. I'm gonna put some side shots, but I still got some details that I gotta iron out. I'm still getting used to this YouTube thing, and I can't quite figure out how to get the camera and the angles that I typically do on models, even though I've been doing this for 5 months so far. But yeah, I think she turned out pretty good. I especially like that ripper on the base, kind of show off my different hides and carapaces of the bugs that I have. But yeah, I think I want some more pinks and definitely some of that nook and cranny stuff that I don't think the camera quite picked up. I also ordered some more mud texture that I need to add to the base. That's typically what I put on the end of the model. But I also want to highlight how this is my old one, and I think she still looks pretty good, holds up. I like the green in there and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think the skin is as well blended as it is here. And I think that just goes to show, keep practicing and you'll get somewhere. With all this said, anyway, much love and peace!